Hello, I'm Pip Courtney and welcome to a new year of A Taste of Landline, where we bring you the very best in food, farming and more from around Australia. Coming up, Australian macadamias taking on the world.
It's on trend for paleo, it's on trend for gluten-free. Nuts tick so many boxes.
Fashionable farming. And the effort to make sure you get salad and only salad.
Hello, I'm Fiona Breen. Two of Tasmania's wool farmers have teamed up with the fashion industry to produce single origin clothing. Customers can now track the clothing they buy back to the farm that produces the wool. This is Rare Country, a picturesque valley that's seen little change over 150 years of farming.
Kingston is probably the last example of a valley floor native grasslands. They would have been widespread at some stage, but now this is all that remains.
The sweeping grassy paddocks are tucked away in Tasmania's remote northeast on the wool property Kingston. Its owner, Simon Cameron, is as passionate about this landscape as he is about his merinos.
We farm it because it's really suitable for the animals and the wool type that we want to produce. But we're also mindful of how we manage this land.
He stocks Kingston's paddocks lightly with a flock of prized Saxon merinos, all the time making sure he's keeping their impact on the land low. It's this dedication to the land and to his sheep that's attracted the interest of Australian men's suit designer Matt Jensen and his company MJ Bale.
That looks good, look at you. That's fantastic.
It's an unlikely collaboration between the farmer and fashion designer, which sees Simon Cameron wearing a high-end woolen suit instead of his usual jeans and work shirt. There's a huge smile on his face. After all, the fabric in this suit is made with wool from his own property.
How many times have you worn this one? Is it special? Or?
This is really special, Matt, and it's going to have to last a long, long time.
Look at this. So I think this fabric here.
Over 2 years, and with a little persistence, Matt Jensen convinced an Italian woolen mill to make some fabric with wool just from the Kingston property.
Well, Simon's one of the best wool growers in the world. He's based there in Tasmania, 16 micron, beautiful. So it's Super 150s cloth, and it has allowed us to create some of the best suiting in the world, but directly from an Australian farm and all sourced from that farm.
The logistics of producing these single origin suits are complex. After shearing, the bales head off to the Italian woolen mill Vitale Barberis in northern Italy, where it's woven into high-end suiting fabric. From there, the material ends up in Asia.
We've kept it pretty classic. We've got 3 colours. We've got a full canvas suit which we hand make in Japan. A single-breasted suit. It's one of those things that you keep and you would probably keep for a long time because it's a special product.
The shearing team is happy. They love the twice-yearly trips to this small shearing shed. The same team has been returning to Kingston for years. They take extra care sorting through the clip. And Matt Jensen is happy. So happy, he's keen to keep this collaboration going.
Beautiful cloth, it drapes, it's got body in the cloth, it drapes incredibly well. and the fineness is just really, you got to try it on to really understand.
As part of the deal, the MJ Bale Company is paying an additional contribution to Simon Cameron to go towards preserving the native grasses.
Well, we think it's a good thing to be doing, to be putting money back into literally the grassroots of the country.
After years of doing it hard in a tough and slow wool selling environment, Simon Cameron feels he's finally starting to get a reward for his farming practices.
It's opened up a whole new opportunity, and if people who are buying the product, buying the MJ Bale suits, think a little bit about what they're doing, they get an understanding that part of what they pay for the suit actually comes back to the farm and helps maintain the farm. I think that that's important with people now.
More and more, the customer is demanding traceability. They want to know the origin of the wool. Is the farmer treating his sheep well? Is he farming sustainably? They want to know the story behind the product before they buy. Another Tasmanian wool operation has jumped on the concept of single origin. The historic Tasmanian wool property, Beaufront. Nine shearers are working their way through 18,000 merino sheep. This wool is destined for the Italian Talegno mill in northern Italy.
We've agreed to supply 40 tonne per year from the farm, 40 tonne of wool top that is, so around about 450 to 500 bales.
Wool broker Alistair Calvert has been working on the deal for a couple of years.
That's a bulkier fleece.
Yeah, that's better. It's a coup for the Von Bibra family, who've been wool farmers in Tasmania's Northern Midlands for generations. Not only are they selling their fine merino wool, they're selling the family's farming story.
Our family have been farming here for now it's 100 years. It's a story right through Australia in many ways in terms of farmers managing a landscape and producing a product. So I'm not alone in doing that, but yeah, we're thrilled to be able to present that story.
The Italian mill's confidence in Beaufront is paying off. It's working on contracts with clothing companies in America, Europe and Australia. Ahead of the game is Australian fashion house Country Road.
Well, Country Road obviously is a client of the mill Talegno in Italy that bought into the concept. So they saw an opportunity to be able to tell the story and do it locally. So it's quite a high profile brand in Australia, obviously.
Well, it is very nice. It's
Soft, isn't it?
It is.
Country Road has bought the Beaufront woolen fabric direct from the Italian mill. The Australian fashion house has developed a limited edition polo shirt using the single origin wool.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed and noticed about the garments is that, you know, when you handle an actual fleece, it has a lovely silky rolling sort of finish and handle about it. Well, that's come all the way through to the garment and it has a really lovely handle and a lovely silky finish on it.
Country Road sell the shirt with the Beaufront story. It's the first time the family has seen their wool in a tangible end product. They love seeing people in clothes made from Beaufront wool.
It's very fulfilling. Yeah, amazing opportunity that we were given. Really nice to get that feedback. As a farmer, you produce a raw product, bales of wool, and we can often lose the fact of where that wool ends up.
It might not be a return to the glory days of wool, but for these farmers, it's a sign wool is returning to favour. Deals like these that link the wool grower to the retail customer are coming at just the right time, giving some in the industry a much-needed morale boost.
It's been a tough 15, 20 years for wool growers. It's a lovely natural fibre. It's wonderful to wear. It serves sheep really well and at the same time serves humans really well.
It takes all bias out of it. You know, they all come here, they're all fed together, and they're all dead together on the same day. If you can win a ribbon in any one of those and the overall, it stands you in good stead to sell your genetics on a little better when it comes to bull sales.
G'day, I'm Marty McCarthy. It seems people everywhere are going nuts for macadamias, and growers say there's never been a better time to be in the business. Across Australia, there's a macadamia nut boom. Slowly and steadily, the industry is getting bigger. Attracted by good prices, farmers started planting more trees. In the past 4 years, 600,000 new trees have gone into the ground. Now, there are about 5.3 million across Australia.
It's on trend for paleo, it's on trend for gluten-free, you know. Nuts tick so many boxes, and macadamias are a small but rapidly growing part of that.
By planting so much so quickly, you'd be forgiven for thinking the market would flood and prices would crash. But that hasn't happened, at least yet. The farm gate price for a kilogram of macadamias has gone from $1.20 a decade ago to now over $5 per kilogram and rising.
There's no denying it's a great time to be a macadamia farmer just at the moment. All the stars have aligned, as it were.
While planting more trees is one way to grow the industry, another is to plant trees that grow more nuts. Dougal Russell is a principal experimentalist at the Maroochy Research Station on the Sunshine Coast. New high-yielding varieties have been bred from parent trees on stations like this.
One of the interesting varieties is a smaller tree, and so it may produce the same amount of crop or yield as a standard variety, but a tree that's half the size.
But growing the sector doesn't just happen by growing more nuts on the trees.
We're seeing new orchards going in around Mackay, further north from Bundaberg, a little bit further west in places like Emerald, in the south down into the Clarence River in New South Wales. There's even some orchards over in WA in the wine-growing regions around Margaret River. So we really don't know how far we can push the boundaries of where macadamias will grow.
There's a lot of satisfaction in growing a crop that's native to round here. We all know that the Hawaiians really developed the industry and were the stepping stone, but it's nice to see the Australian industry come of age, particularly when it's, you know, traditionally ours.
Despite all of this growth, only about 3% of all the nuts sold in the world are macadamias. Simply put, no matter how fast the local and global industry grows, there still aren't enough macadamias. That's why prices keep rising. The macadamia industry is experiencing a trifecta not usually seen in a rural sector. Production is increasing, prices are increasing, and so too is demand. Currently, 61% of Australian macadamias are consumed on their own as snack nuts, like these. Only 35% is consumed as manufactured product. But this is where the industry sees its future.
Macadamias can be used in many different products. They're a great Australian product. They sell themselves. The value-added market is certainly the way to go forward.
Nutworks at Yandina on the Sunshine Coast is a macadamia processor. But rather than just selling the raw nut, it prefers to add value to it by turning it into macadamia nougat, fudge, oil, butter, roasted and chocolate-coated nuts, even cosmetic products. The company also has an iconic Australian range targeted purely at Asian markets, like these abalone-flavoured macadamias.
Unlike the other processors, we do things a little differently here. We have a large percentage of our sales in value-added products, 65% last year. That allows us to break even at a much lower level than the other processors. So it's vital, particularly in these high-priced times, to have that value-added market.
The new marketing strategy was launched in March, but the industry hopes macadamias could soon rival the use of hazelnuts and almonds in cereals and confectionery.
We've done some market research that shows that consumers also think that macadamias are more premium than other nuts, and so if you like, they're worth the extra money. And one of the ways this manifests itself is that consumers generally think that products that have macadamias in them are worth more than products that have other nuts in them.
Many growers are feeling the pressure as the macadamia grows in popularity.
One of the great things at the moment is that we've got high prices, high production. So for growers in the industry, they're seeing the best of both worlds together.
It's in waterways across the top end, and it causes terrible impacts wherever it occurs.
They pack quite a punch for such a little thing, but yeah, they're little champions. I often think of them as Santa's little helpers.
Hello, I'm Courtney Wilson. Ready-to-eat salad is quick, convenient and hugely popular, but a lot goes into making sure you get lettuce and only lettuce in your bag of salad, especially in cane toad country. This salad farm stretches across 150 hectares in Gingin, about 50 kilometres west of Bundaberg. Dickie Bill grows baby leaf salads, like spinach as well as wild rocket and kale.
We harvest and we plant pretty much every day, so we started about 3 weeks ago planting, and we're in the middle of harvest and planting now.
The salad grown here is sold mainly in Brisbane, but Dickie Bill also exports into Asia, Singapore, even Dubai. The company has targeted the hugely popular pre-washed, pre-packed market. In a world with an increasing appetite for convenience, it's a great business to be in. But it also means extremely high standards of quality control are crucial. And in cane toad territory, that equates to a huge amount of work. Nobody wants a toad leg in their bag of lettuce.
Quality assurance, which includes any foreign objects, whether that be a toad, a frog, a rodent, a moth, whatever it is, it's very important that we can find it and eliminate it.
The first line of defence is in the field. This state-of-the-art harvester was shipped in especially from America. It's worth about $500,000.
They've got some good features on there, including air jumps and clopper belts with chains to help anything that's not salad to basically fall through and disappear.
Once it's harvested, the leaves are taken into a cold room straight away and into a washroom within 24 hours. Today, it's a mescaline mix that's in for a bath.
It's mixed and washed in the first bath. It's then sent through baths 2 and 3 where it's washed again.
Then down the line it goes, along vibrating racks which shake the leaves to dislodge anything stuck on the surface. Next, the salad is scrutinised by sorters.
So we don't use an optic eye as such. It's all manually sorted with people. So with our bulk line, we'll put 2 sorters on that, and that bulk product also ends up in the wash line, which will then have another 2 sorters if required.
It's a painstaking process because it has to be. The business depends on providing clean product.
So what would happen if you were to find something at this inspection stage?
Each side of the washing line would be discarded and then we would start again. If we were to find a toad, the whole line would stop. The product that we were washing would be quarantined. We'd drop the bass, we'd do a major clean down. Block IDs would be taken from where the product came from. Customers would be notified that we did find something that day of washing, and then we would start again and redo the process.
It doesn't happen often, but sometimes, somehow, things slip through.
Since we've started, we've had 1 infield find and 1 actual find at a processor, which isn't good.
Cane toads breed twice a year and can produce a staggering amount of offspring. 1 female can lay more than 30,000 eggs at a time, so it's little wonder that catching toads on an individual basis has done little to curb the growing number of the pests. Then, a few years back, came a breakthrough of sorts.
Scientists discovered something peculiar about cane toad tadpoles. They worked out they actually hunt out and eat other toads' eggs. It turns out the eggs are covered in toad toxin, which attracts the tadpoles. The behaviour got scientists thinking, could cane toads be used in the war against cane toads?
Instead of hunting the adult pests, scientists from 2 universities focused their efforts on toad tadpoles and killing them by the tens of thousands.
The key was if you can mimic the egg smell and put it in a trap, maybe the tadpoles will chase after that smell, and instead of ending up at this gigantic nest of eggs, they end up inside a trap.
About 200 kilometres inland from Bundaberg near Monto is Gundakum Station. It's a wildlife haven, but also a working cattle station with plenty of toads.
The Campbell family's been here for 5 generations on the property. They took it up in about 1870.
Rob and Nadia, with the help of station hands Sam and Paul, run on average about 1,600 head of mostly black Brangus across Gundakum's 7,000 hectares. Gundakum has become a wildlife refuge.
There's platypus in the river here as well.
The tortoises.
We've had big tortoise surveys done, fish surveys done over the years. We've had koala surveys done here. We've got big powerful owls, which is the biggest owl in Australia. It's good to see those animals, like being able to breed and multiply, as well as work with us.
The creeks and waterways on Gundakum are also home for plenty of native frogs.
We have the pobblebonk, or the northern banjo frog, the emerald spotted frog.
Eastern Stony Creek frog.
Plenty of green frogs. There are so many, aren't there? We're always finding a new one and looking them up in the field guide to see if we can identify it.
So why is it important to you both that you want to protect what's here natively?
Well, when you look around, like the family's done this over a period of generations, we're trying to make it so we can produce beef profitably without putting a big footprint on the environment.
Part of that is by working to rid Gundukum of pests, and their biggest pest by far is the cane toad. The chance to trial using cane toad's own toxin against them was too good for Rob and Nadia to pass up.
See how we go? There's a lot along the shallows here. We've been trialling the new traps with baits to reduce the cane toad at tadpole phase, which is far more efficient than running around catching toads individually. Oh, look at that, we have hundreds.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'll just go and get the tin, eh?
Okay. When you can get a large number of the tadpoles, you're taking those out of the breeding cycle. At this stage, we're placing them in our dams, which is where the highest number of the tadpoles we can see along the shallows, and that's where we're having some good results.
What we're really hoping is that it reduces the intergenerational recruitment. So each year there will be less tadpoles that make it through to juveniles to adults, and as you pull them out, you have a chance of reducing the next season's success in reproduction and laying eggs.
And a future with less cane toads causing problems for the natural environment is one that's worth working towards.
We're able to know that we can come out in the bush, or we're working in the paddock, you come to the river, you can see platypus, you can see the wallabies. We feel some sense of responsibility in preserving that and looking after it for future generations.
And that's the show. Thanks for your company. Don't forget we're on iView and Facebook. On our next episode, the gentle giants which helped build Australia.
You started at 4 o'clock in the morning and you fed your team of horses before you had your breakfast.
The mysteries of biodynamic farming.
You've got this symbiotic relationship between roots and fungi in the soil.
And
citrus.